thou tell no man, but go thy way. Show thyself to the priest, and offer the gift that Moses commanded for testimony unto them. Okay, here's where I wanted to start. And when Jesus, but that other part was good too. And when Jesus was entered into Capernaum, there came unto him a centurion, beseeching him, and saying, Lord, my servant lies at home, sick of the palsy, grievously tormented. And Jesus said unto him, I will come and heal him. The centurion answered and said, Lord, I am not worthy that thou shouldst come under my roof, but speak the word only, and my servant shall be healed. For I am a man under authority, having soldiers under me. And I say to this man, Go, and he goes. And to another, Come, and he comes. And to my servant, Do this, and he doeth it. When Jesus heard it, he marveled. He said unto them that followed, Verily I say unto you, I have not found so great faith, no, not in Israel. And I say unto you that many shall come from the east and the west, and shall sit down with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. But the children of the kingdom shall be cast out into utter darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And Jesus said unto the centurion, Go thy way, and as thou hast believed, so be it done unto thee. And his servant was healed in the self-same hour. What we have here is we have the centurion. He was a soldier, a man of war, if you would. But he understood, he accepted, and he expected authority to work in a certain way. He knew what authority was all about. He says, I understand authority. Heal my servant. My servant is sick. And Jesus says, I will come and heal him. Oh, you don't have to come. I understand authority. I understand what it means when you start operating in authority, because I have people and I say to them, go, and they go. I say, come, and he comes. I say, so do this, and it's done. This is what authority is all about. He said, I understand this. So he accepted it. He said, I also am under authority. So the man understood that Jesus was a man under authority. He understood that the authority that Jesus was operating in came from his Father. Jesus has come down from the mountain. He has spent time in prayer. He comes across the leper gets healed. The centurion says, my servant is sick. He's saying, heal me. But he understood the flow of authority, and that's something that we have often lost in the world today. There is a world that no longer likes the thought of authority. We want to be independent. In fact, we're quite proud of being able to put independent on things. Independent means you can't get along with the others. It's just a nice way of saying it. When your report card comes home and you say your child is very independent, that means he doesn't play nice with others. It's not necessarily a compliment. I see parents going, is that what it means? So this man understood what authority was. Because he was under authority, he had authority. He understood that authority flowed from the top down. He understood that authority didn't mean you had to show up. He just had to speak the word and it was going to happen. He didn't even have to come to his house. Jude chapter 8. I'm just going to add a couple other verses right here. Jude chapter 8, right at the end of the Bible. Almost. Verse 8. Let's go for verse 8, okay? Jude only has one chapter. I knew that. Jude verse 8. I'm going to read the whole, chapter 8. I'll read the whole chapter. Jude verse 8, and is talking about authority, and he says, likewise also these filthy dreamers defile the flesh, despise dominion, and speak evil of dignities. So when he's talking about those that are not willing to accept authority, he calls them dreamers. Filthy dreamers. They reject authority. They speak evil of dignitaries. Peter carries on with the same theme in 2 Peter chapter 2. We're just going to turn there quickly. And 2 Peter does have a chapter 2. 2 Peter chapter 2. And in verse 10, Peter carries on with the same thought. And he says, verse 9, he says, the Lord knows how to deliver the godly out of temptation, and to reserve the unjust unto the day of judgment to be punished. But, what does but there mean? There's a bigger thing coming here. But chiefly them that walk after the flesh in the lust of uncleanness and despise government. Those that walk after the flesh in the lust of uncleanness and despise government. Presumptuous are they, self-willed, and they're not afraid to speak evil of dignities. Peter says the same thing. He says, here we have a group of people, and they're rejecting authority. They're refusing to be governed. They're refusing to submit to authority. And Peter also says they're presumptuous. They're not afraid to speak evil of the dignities. Jude called them dreamers, rejecting authority and speaking evil of dignitaries. Peter says they walk according to the flesh, and they despise authority. Presumptuous, self-willed, not afraid to speak evil of dignitaries. But these are mentioned as signs of the end of the times. How many times do we run into that in today's world? How many times do we see this happening, not only in the world, but in the church? When the congregation gets together and begins to roast the reverend. Presumptuous are they, evil speakers, yes. Not afraid to speak about the dignitaries. Right. Self-willed, walking after the flesh. Those are not good things in the Bible. This is like if your child comes home and saying, child is independent. This is the same type of thing here. God isn't putting this down and saying this is something you should all be striving for. In fact, it's put down as it's going to bring destruction to them. A sign of the end time, so it's no wonder that it's hard to find people that want to operate in the God kind of faith if they're despising the authorities. See, if the centurion could not have accepted the authority of Jesus Christ, his servant would not have been healed. If the centurion would have got up and said, I'm a centurion. I lead 100 men. I've got a little bit of standing here, Jesus. I would imagine his servant would have died. Because until you can submit yourself to the authority, the power of that authority cannot operate in your life. It cannot flow through the way it's supposed to. So people who have rejected authority end up rejecting the power. It can't flow. Romans chapter 13. I was so excited that Brian had just shared this yesterday morning. Romans chapter 13. We're going to go there again. And he didn't see my notes. Thursday, Brian shared this. Romans chapter 13, starting at verse 1. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers. For there is no power but of God. The powers that are ordained of God. Whosoever therefore resists the power, resists the ordinance of God. They that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. Find out what that word means. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. So what we see here in the Bible again is the concept of being able to submit yourself to authority, and yet that's the part that the church has fought with. I believe it's one of the things where the enemy has attacked good churches, good church people, and tried to convince them that there's something wrong by being able to submit to authority. You see it in homes, where wives will turn around and say, well, I don't have to submit to my husband. We're equal. I'm just this guy. I'm probably smarter than he is. And all of a sudden they start rejecting authority. And what you see is the very same attack that has come across the whole nation. You see it in families. Children rising up and saying, we don't have to listen to our parents. They don't know. They have no right. We see it in businesses. Workers getting together. Well, we don't think that our boss should be able to tell us how to work. I got one word for you. Bye. But we see it in the church. Because it has affected our nation. That was one of the things we said, even at this time with the election coming up. Has